I think the First Lady should invite Peyton Manning to sit next to her. Not only is he an extraordinary football player, he's an extraordinary human being, he comes from an extraordinary family. I think he's a great role model for young people all over America.
I think the First Lady should invite Marcus Luttrell, the lone survivor, so Americans can see on film, captured on film, what Americans fighting for freedom is really like in real life.
Some of our roundtable regulars picking who they'd like to see as the Obama special guest at the State of the Union. More of their picks later. And now a unique take on the president's make-or-break moment Tuesday from the men and women who have helped craft the commander-in-chief's words. It's a huge night for the president, but also for a White House speechwriter. We met 4 of them earlier this week right down the street.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
This is one of the most hyped, most watched, arguably most important speeches a president gives, but it's a bear to write, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe the least gratifying.
Yes, it's the prize nobody wants.
You said you'd rather write the speech pardoning the turkey than the State of the Union?
In a New York Minute.
He will not end up on anyone's dinner table, not this guy.
Hey, those can be fun.
Much more fun. We had something like 22 senior staff or cabinet officers who got to edit the speech in the staffing process before it went to the president. And that reconciliation process was just a total nightmare.
John, you're the most recent doing this. Those weeks and days before the speech is done, is there kind of a scramble?
It is the most hectic time in the White House for a speechwriter that you could imagine. And I mean, there's 3 a.m., 4 a.m. nights leading right up into the speech. No matter how far in advance you try to plan, you're always changing the speech up to the last minute.
Everybody wants their project mentioned in the State of the Union.
Suddenly speechwriters become very popular. Suddenly the phone starts lighting up with calls from cabinet secretaries.
How do you respond to that, by the way?
Well, with great interest and respect, and then you hang up the phone and you pass it along through channels that will probably
eliminate the idea.
Right. But some of them you got to respond to, because this is actually an exercise not just for the president, but for the entire administration in setting priorities for the new year.
We are Americans.
President Bush was the same way, and I think he was very cognizant of the fact that the State of the Union, each little agency had their moment there where they very carefully had it worded what their priority was, and I think he was respectful of that.
So often, the reason why they end up not being memorable is they're laundry lists, right?
Right, you got to cover everything. You've got 20 topics. The hard thing for the speechwriters is coming up with 20 transitions. When people would come in with these suggestions and really sort of lean on the speechwriters to put these things in, President Bush would actually notice that when it happened, and he would call these things cram-ins. And he could pick them out with surgical precision and then remove them.
The thing I like, aside from the laundry list and all the priorities, is I'm always curious to see who the guests are going to be in the gallery. My style of speechwriting is I think great stories make great speeches. And it started in '82 with Reagan when he did Lenny Skutnik.
And we saw the heroism of one of our young government employees, Lenny Skutnik.
He dove into the icy waters and saved people from the Air Florida crash in Washington. And I think that's part of the charm of it, is seeing these Americans up in the gallery.
And I wonder if we realized at the time that when President Reagan did that, this would be something that would happen in every State of the Union since. Distinguished Americans in the gallery that are referred to.
They call them Lenny Skutniks.
One of the most watched speeches a president will give, but almost never memorable. We think of the few.
We will not be intimidated by the threats of dictators.
It's like the Four Freedoms speech with FDR, or the War on Poverty speech with LBJ.
All-out war on human poverty and unemployment in these United States.
So, John, will President Obama in this speech achieve that measure of immortality with his State of the Union?
Everyone in the White House will say, this is not going to be a laundry list this year. And then by the time you get to the speech, it's somewhat of a laundry list, just because, as you said, the president's giving his priorities for the country, for the year, on just about every topic, foreign and domestic.
Jeff, as a speechwriter for President Clinton, he holds the record for the longest State of the Union ever.
Yes,
Actually, he holds 2 records, longest in time.
We are fortunate to be alive. And this is our moment.
And longest in words.
Again, we are here in the sanctuary of democracy.
And those were two different speeches.
I believe those records are going to stand for some time.
Wow.
One of the tricks with the State of the Union, I always thought, was how are you going to get into this speech? You have the visuals, which are so great, and you have the salutations at the beginning.
Mr. Speaker.
In 2002, the first one after 9/11, the first line was something like, as we gather tonight.
Our nation is at war. Our economy is in recession. And the civilized world faces unprecedented dangers. Yet the state of our union has never been stronger.
It's rare when you're reporting so much bad news, so much ominous news, but that's the way to bring it home, to declare that the state of our union is strong, and it was at that time.
In fact, Mary Kate, we've only seen one president one time ever definitively state that the State of the Union was not all that
not good.
And I must say to you that the State of the Union is not good.
And that was Jerry Ford right after Watergate. The next year, he said something that I liked.
The state of our union is better. In many ways, a lot better, but still not good enough.
You find a way to do it. And there's variations, you know, it's getting stronger or we are strong.
The state of our union is stronger.
I mean, there's like always some way to do it. But it's, you know, it's an important thing to validate, I think.
Okay, so let's go around the table on that. State of the Union is?
Always strong.
Always strong.
I'll just go with strong.
I like Jerry Ford. Better, but not good enough yet.
I think the State of the Union is getting incrementally stronger, and I would not suggest stating it that way in the speech. But I think that's
incrementally is never a good, you know,
in the 90s we were
speeches.
big on incrementalism. But.
Jeff, we talk about the tinkering, presidents changing, editing. I mean, nobody did it more than Bill Clinton.
There was a lot of rewriting, and the process with President Clinton on these big speeches was very collaborative. But by the time you're in the family theater, you're not supposed to be messing with the substance of the speech. Now, that didn't always work out that way.
Would President Clinton have started making changes on the way to the Capitol?
Well,
he was overstated. I mean,
that is not overstated.
What is it that makes a great speechwriter?
Listening to your boss as much as possible.
You just focus on the matter at hand and don't overwrite.
You regularly get paragraphs crossed out and people say, no, 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 that doesn't sound like me or whatever. And if your attitude is, oh, you ruined my masterpiece, you're not going to last very long.
Our thanks to the speechwriters. We'll be right back.
I believe the First Lady should invite Miles Scott back here because he is a symbol of hope and resiliency.
They need to go hunt down some good cases that they can highlight of people that have been helped by Obamacare instead of hurt by Obamacare. And then, if that doesn't work, she might want to bring her personal trainer. Maybe we can all get down a routine on how to get some of those famous arms.
I think the First Lady should have an empty chair in her box to represent the millions of Americans who have been left out of the partisan political process in Washington, D.C., and who have felt absent from any economic gain over the last generation, and who feel like they don't have their voices heard.